Hi, yes, it's me, the person with over 50 unfinished manuscripts. And yes, I've outlined them all and written for each one of them. It's not like they're just 50 little concepts. I've started writing on each and every one of them. It's a lot. But this year I decided I wanted to finish the first draft of one of them and, finish it by the beginning of next year, 2025. Did I decide this with the year halfway already gone? Yes. But, okay, here's the thing. Why did I decide to record this year of all years? Because I kind of rewrite the first draft of this story almost every year. Well, I don't know. It's just something about the vibes, like, I feel like this is it. I feel like this is the run, guys. This is the run. Like, there's something in the water. I can feel a difference in what I'm writing, but I'll get more into that later. But kind of, I wanted to go into, like, my history as a writer, or history with writing and stories and all of that. I have kind of like a, normal author answer of, like, I've been writing my entire life. I've been writing with the intent to publish since age 9, and I handbound my first book at like age 4 or 5 with, obviously like craft supplies and stuff, but, still a book. But, and I've written on like Wattpad and Quotev, if anyone knows what that is. It's basically Wattpad but gray. And I've entered lots of short story and poetry contests and placed in some. I won like a book for one of them. That was pretty fun. And of course, like any good middle schooler, I would always write something dark with death or pain or something, classic. But, and I've kind of been in the creative writing club of any school I've attended. But, farther in the future, like now, I'm in college right now, I discovered AuthorTube, and I wasn't quite into it. Like, I didn't quite connect with it, but obviously, like, for some reason, I just kept watching. Like, I was just like, something just, like, drew me into it. I don't know what the reason could be. But I was sort of interested in all these other like writing processes, and I do quite enjoy like analyzing the writing process and like the writing itself, like characters and like plot devices and all of that. Like when in English class, AP English class, when like the teacher would assign you to read this book and like annotate and highlight, I ate that up. I loved it. It was like I was like, oh my gosh, we're allowed to write in books? This is freaking crazy. And I love marking that up, writing my little notes, my little reactions. Yes, it was so fun. Obviously, it got a bit tedious, at some points in the year, but generally, I like analyzing art and that type of stuff. But that's all the build up to this, but then that's when it happened. I was just, watching AuthorTube, just kind of, going from video to video, and then a Brielle Writes video popped up beneath one of the videos I was watching on AuthorTube. And I saw her go through the process of finishing her first draft and receiving that printed copy that was like her personal copy, and oh my god, that was it for me, guys. That was it. I mean, like, watching her experience something that I dreamed about since I was a kid, it just made me super excited. And I was like right before bed watching this, which I probably shouldn't have been doing, but I was. And I was like, that's it. I can't wait any longer. I'm going to finish this draft. I literally have to. Like, I don't think anything can stop me now, because, like, I never really stopped writing the story. It just, I was very, like, it's complicated. There's, like, multiple reasons why I was never really able to finish a draft, but, like, now it's like, I don't know, something happened when I saw her experience what I wanted to experience, and it was like, oh my gosh, I need it. I need it so bad. I need it. Like, but yeah, that's all, like, leading up to this. And so that's kind of where I've been recently. And the one I chose is obviously the one that I've kind of been wanting to do first for, like, a while. Like, I'm calling it Project Flare. And I know it's long enough to be, like, a series, so I don't know if I'll have, like, I don't know exactly what the other books would be named, but I'm not worried about that right now. But I feel like the audience would lean more towards adults, because there kind of be, like, some cursing and some death, and I don't know. I just feel like it would be. It's kind of sci-fi, a little mystery, like they go on an adventure type thing. Of course there's, like, magical elements. Like, I do actually kind of struggle putting my stories into genres because every story has a little bit of everything, so I'm like, how do I, like, just pick one? Like, I don't know, it feels restrictive because, like, I created all my own species for this magical alien world, and, like, because it's like, if you go by, like, stereotypes, like, fantasy is, like, elf magic dragons type things, then, like, sci-fi is, like, aliens, and then supernatural is, like, werewolves, and paranormal is ghosts. But, and, like, so for mine, like, technically my species that I created are aliens, so that would technically mean there's sci-fi, but the aliens do have magic, so would that be fantasy? But literally it's my own species that I created. It's not like a fantasy thing or, like, any of those categories based on the stereotypes, because it's my own thing that I created, and it's in contemporary times. Like, I love a good magic system, especially in a contemporary world. That's why I obviously wrote the story. But it's like, and then there's, like, it's, like, hard to tell with, like, not just my stories, obviously, like, any story. Like, it's like how Dungeon Meshi, like, you know, it's comedic at points, but also there's body horror. Like, it's like that. Like, there's funny elements in my story because it's in a contemporary time, and, like, the main characters are young adults, so they're, like, young people, you know? They're, like, normal, average people that, like, we would be. And where was I going with that? Basically, it's hard to tell because, like, there's comedic things, but then also people die in my story, but it's not all the time, but neither of them are all the time. Like, there's a balance, like in any story. That's why I'm saying it's not just my story. It's like there's a good balance of, like, comedic things and then life ruining things, I would like to think. But there is, like, a theme of, like, mental health in the story, so that's why I'm like, I don't feel like I can say any positive genre, because, like, if the theme is, like, mental health, it's like, I thought about this a lot, if you can't tell, and I'm definitely overthinking it. Like, I know some people just, like, say one thing and it's, like, over with, but I don't know, it's my life's work, so it's like, how do I define you with one word? But yeah, that, whatever. I do have some solid main characters, and I was talking a little bit about it earlier. The main character, like the one's perspective that we're seeing the most of, is chronically online. So she uses a lot of like slang or a lot of layman's terms, for stuff. And I wouldn't necessarily say she curses like a sailor, because it's not like she's embellishing with her cursing, but it's like when she curses, it's not necessarily because something bad happened. Sometimes she'll just say it. But also, I guess this is kind of getting into like what the story actually is. But like she has some anger issues. She's a little angry little guy. But I don't know that I'll go too much into about her as a character in this video, but more of the story overall, kind of what it is, kind of like the premise of what it would be is kind of like basically an alien family is living on Earth disguised as humans. However, the mother of the main character, the mother of the family, was killed 6 years ago, and her killer has returned for Cleo, the main character, and her family. So this leads to Cleo making some questionable decisions and ending up as a vigilante working for a council member. And much to her dismay, she's assigned a human partner who seems to get in the way of her ulterior motives of finding her mother's killer. And I know there's like terms in there like council member that no one knows what that means because it's like a thing in my story, but just the term is kind of self-explanatory in a way, but like to know who it actually is, I'll just explain that later when I'm like writing. Like I'm not going to explain that right now. It's like a whole history of the magical world and stuff. Yeah. So kind of my plan for like tackling this, I do have one because I have not had one in the past, and then like it kind of fell through, obviously. But I have one this time, and I have had plans in the past that also didn't work, but this one, so far it's working. Okay? So I've been logging like my word count into the NaNoWriMo website, because even when it's not like NaNoWriMo, you can still like log your words in there and use it to set little goals and stuff, which I think is super cute and useful and a godsend, because literally I do not want to have a spreadsheet, please. I don't want to have to update that, please. Yeah. Anyways, I did the math, and if I write like 10 to 15K a month, then I should finish by January 2025 with around like 70K words. Leaning more towards the 15K a month side, which I wasn't sure was doable. I was like, this is kind of maybe a reach, but I mean, so far I've written over 5K words, and I started it like a week ago. And I've been writing like every day because I've just been like absolutely obsessed with the story. But I want to take this story to the finish line. Like, I need this draft finished, and like I need it out there. Like, I don't know how many more years. I don't know if I could last years without having my work like out there. I don't care where it's out there, as long as it's out there. I don't care how many people see it, as long as it's out there. That's all I care about. It just cannot be weighing down like my back or whatever. Like it's weighing on me, like it's just sitting up in there in my brain, because like I said, I've outlined the whole story already. I know how it ends. I know the major plot points. Like, it's just sitting up there, and it's like, it's I it is something that's like fun, but like it's like the way I'm describing this, it sounds painful, and it is painful, but it's like in a good kind of pain, you know? It does that make sense? I feel like if you're a writer, it makes sense. Like, it's like, I don't know, the urge I have to like vomit the story is like overwhelming sometimes. Like I'm trying, I don't know how I would explain that to like a non-writer, but it's just like a feeling. And I know, like, if I explain this to my brother who doesn't write stories, he'd be like, why do you feel that way? Like why do you feel that way? But I don't know, I just do. It's very important to me to like vomit it, projectile vomit it. Like, it needs to be out of my head. I need it. Like, I'm just so obsessed with it. And obviously, I have talked about like about all I plan to do and like exactly how far I plan to like take this story and stuff a bit on my other channel, lunarchystudio. But I am a little worried on exactly where I'll be in the plot at when I reach 70k, because I'm not sure whether I'll be too short, like the story ends and I still have more word count to go, or if I'm like, I reach 70k and the story still hasn't ended yet and I like wrote too much, which, you know, both of those are fine, and I'm not like obsessively worrying about it. It's just like in the back of my mind of something that could happen. Obviously, because I'm just like setting a 70k word count goal as like based on like the thickness of a book. I'm not actually like, I didn't mathematically calculate exactly how long my plot will take to write. I just like threw 70k out there as like a random word goal. Just because, I mean, that's what everyone does with word count goals. You can't actually calculate how long it would be. Well, I mean, you could, but I'd have to have more of the story written to be able to do that. Yeah. Because I have in the past calculated how long the thing would be based on the thing. I do a lot of calculating, but I don't need to get into that in this video anyways. And like I've kind of been saying, I'm not unfamiliar with this story. Like, it's one of the earlier stories I've written. I originally wrote the first draft of this story when I was around 10. And obviously I've grown as a writer since then. And, you know, I mentioned that I kind of rewrite it every year. Or attempt to rewrite it every year. I don't go in with the intention of rewriting it every year, but I keep being like, it needs to be better, and then starting over. But I've learned that I should not be doing that. I should just be finishing, and then you go back and edit. Yeah, like I said, I've come quite a ways in my writer skills. But yeah, I have outlined like the major beats of the story start to finish, and then outlined like scene by scene the first 27 chapters. Like, even like scene transitions, like even if it's like a really small short scene, every single scene listed and divided up by chapter for the first 27 chapters. And I'm not sure whether I'll have to see how long the chapters actually end up being once I like write them, like page-wise, because I'm not sure if I like the way I divide up the chapters, if I made them too short, because I may have, but that's okay, because even though I outlined the first 27 chapters, I did not even reach the midpoint in the story. So, yeah. That it's a lot I'll have to write, and I'll have to see, like, I'll have to check in once I reach the 70k point at what point I'm at in the story, because if I'm closer to the midpoint than the end point at 70k, then I may cut the book in half. But I doubt that'll happen, because I do tend to underwrite sometimes. So I doubt that'll happen. But it's out there as a plan B if it does happen. And like I've kind of been saying, like, a lot of prep work has gone into this before I actually started writing this first draft. And I say, and that's not necessarily on purpose that I did that beforehand. It's just the case since it's almost like a decade-old story, and it's just kind of built on itself over the years. And I say first draft, but obviously this is not my actual first draft of this story. It's more like my 58th draft. And I just said that as a random number, but honestly I may not be too far off, because if I'm being honest with myself, I definitely rewrote the first draft more than once every year. More than once. Like, it's been a journey with this story. It's been a journey. But this is the year. This is the run, guys. This is the run. I can just feel it. I can feel it. Something's different. Like I was saying earlier, like, I wrote 5K in a week, which I didn't think I was able to do. I mean, I don't want to go, like, too into why I didn't think I could do that, but I don't know, something's different this time around. I am, like, absolutely obsessed. Like, I can't go a day without writing. I've been writing every day this week because I can't not write every day. Like, I actually get upset if I can't write, and that's why I haven't not been writing. Like, okay, I won't get upset then, so I just write. No matter how small amount it is, I just write. And it's like, the project is very close to my heart since I've been writing it for such a long time, and I, like I said, just need it to be out there. Please, as soon as possible. Like, I know, like, no one's, like, making me have these deadlines. No one's saying, like, no one's forcing me to, like, put these deadlines. I put these deadlines on myself, but not to, like, as a self-sabotage or anything. Like, I feel like it's a realistic goal. Like, I wasn't sure at first, but now I am sure it's a realistic goal because of how obsessed I am with this story. Like, I'm just so obsessed that it's like, I don't even know. Like, obviously, I didn't just start writing the first draft, like, a week ago. Well, the most recent draft, yes, I started writing that a week ago, but I actually started drafting the first draft at the beginning of this year, and then I redid the first draft about, I would say, anywhere from 5 to 10 times before landing on this current version that I have. And even now, I'm not totally solid in it, but I have realized that I just need to get it on the page. Like, the first draft doesn't have to be perfect, which is something I struggled with, and it's why I've never really finished a draft. And I'm a perfectionist, like extreme perfectionist, and the first draft will not be perfect. And it was honestly kind of relieving and like relaxing to like say that and like accept that like the first draft doesn't have to be perfect. So like even though I know there are things I want to change in it, I'm still writing it anyway because I trust in like my revision process. I trust the analytical side of myself that can go in and fix that later, but I can't go in and fix it if there's nothing to fix. Like if it's not actually written. So I'm gonna write it and I'm gonna finish it, and it's not gonna be perfect, but who cares, because that first draft is not seeing the light of day. Not a single soul will see that but me. Like, and that's just so freeing. Like the fact that I know for certain no one will see that, it's like I can write whatever the heck I want. Like it doesn't matter if it's good or bad. I don't even have to think of this as objectively good or bad. I don't have to think of it as being anything at all. It just can be. Because no one's gonna see it, no one's gonna judge it. Because I'll obviously go through the process of like editing the first draft, and then, people will probably see the second or third drafts, obviously, to get outside perspective on it. It's not like I'll never get outside perspective. It's just that I'll have other drafts of it. But yeah, like the first draft, like, I don't know. It feels good to be private about the first draft, because then it's like anything goes, and that's why I think it's been so easy to write, because I've just been like, I can just write anything, and so it's just been flying by because I've just been writing anything. It's just been going. And I'm gonna try and like record myself writing every week or every other week. I mean, I'll try to record whenever I write, honestly. And most of the videos on here will just be kind of chatty videos like this, but I'll like, kind of give updates on like what I'm working on and like, how it's going and if I'm sticking to my goals and such things like that. So, but I should probably go. I think I need to feed my cat.